Hey there, and welcome to the Furry Birdy Yoga Odyssey. I'm your host, Jason, and I think this is day fourth day of class. Third. Wait a minute, today's the third day of class. I've already done the intro video for today's class. Wow, okay, I'm fine. Everything's fine. So, as the title of this video suggests, there's a myth in a lot of vocations. People say something like, I could never do this because I'm not that. Like, I'm not flexible enough for yoga. I'm not strong enough to be a power lifter. I'm not agile enough to be a rock climber. I don't know. I don't have a catalog of everybody's rationale. But I do know that that's wrong. That rationale is incorrect. Everybody has... Now, I'm not a doctor, right? Obviously. If you want more information on this, go look it up. But generally speaking, everybody has hardware, firmware, and software. Right? We all have a brain, and that's our hardware. And then we've all got our firmware, which is like a neurological area, or an area where our brain has allocated connections for certain functions. And in this case, I want to talk about motor functions, hand and eye coordination, and that sort of stuff. The ability to shoot baskets or do any athleticism is what I'm talking about in this particular instance. And not everybody has the same software or skill set. But everybody has the ability to develop it. What I'm talking about is your brain will map neurological pathways the more you do something. It's the same thing with piano, riding a bike, or yoga. And this is represented when somebody says, bring awareness. If you've ever been to a yoga class, somebody will say something like, bring awareness to, and they'll name a body part. And you might sometimes think to yourself, what are they talking about? Like, of course I know that part of my body exists, but what are they talking about? What we're talking about is mapping neurological pathways. And a yoga flow, and the traditional yoga flows were designed to stir up, awaken, excite different pathways in a certain order to get to some other position. For example, your warm-up. Warming up your body before exercise has more to do with telling your mind that you're about to engage in something than it does with the muscles. I mean, yeah, there's muscle, there's stuff in there. Absolutely, there's stuff in there. Your circulation is changing a little bit, just a little bit, right? Your heart rate is still very low. If your heart rate is still, say your heart rate's at 70 beats a minute, and then you start doing your warm-up, and now you're at 75 beats a minute, you're not really, like, increasing circulation the way you might think you are, right? Your circulation is doing what it does. Your lymph system might be working a little bit better because your lymph system is driven passively by body movement. And there is some stuff with joints and range of motion that happens. But there have been a whole bunch of studies done on stretching before and not stretching before strenuous activity. And a lot of these studies have proven that it doesn't have the effect we thought it had. There's something else going on there. It's more about bringing your brain's software on. Like, okay, we're going to go and do this thing now. And then once all of that stuff is kind of in gear, you go and you do that thing. Another way to look at this, another way to look at this is when you have somebody who has a strenuous job and they come home and they might say something like, "I'm sorry, I haven't gotten home yet." I'm sure you've heard that. You had to have heard that kind of a phrase. Or, "I'm not here yet." Or, "Give me a minute, I just got here." It's the same kind of idea. You're bringing your awareness from one state to another. And yoga was specifically focusing on the physical during a flow. Okay, that's not even true. In yoga, you might be focusing on a physical during a flow. You might not. There's a lot happening. But there's a lot happening with any kind of physical maneuver. There are people who specialize in sports psychology exactly for this kind of thing because of the mind-body connection. Your brain can hold you back. And I think this gets into stuff like, you can't teach a dog new tricks. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Derp, 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 derp. Of course you can. You're writing. Let's say let's do it a different way. I don't want to talk about dogs that way. I love dogs, and I don't want to talk about teaching dogs one way or another. Let's say people who say, "Oh, I've got a whole bunch of bad habits to unlearn." That's kind of what's happening. What you're really doing is you're rewriting new, better habits over the old ones. I don't personally think that that's any more difficult than learning something for the first time. It might feel like it's difficult. Probably because you're getting into the world of known unknowns and unknown unknowns. Whereas when you first started off, you had no friggin' idea what you were doing. So you were just like, meh, and you just did whatever. Is there a point to all this? Yeah, go do the thing. Go do it, whatever it is. It's not too late to start something new. You're not inflexible, and so you can't do yoga. If you have an interest in some kind of physical activity, go do the thing. Your brain, you'll bring some awareness to this new activity. You'll write some new neurological connections. Before you know it, you'll be able to juggle chainsaws on a unicycle. I mean, if that's what you're into. I really want a unicycle. I mean, this is a complete aside. I would totally be into a unicycle. I haven't gone out and gone. Have you seen the trials riding? There's trials riding, unicycle trials riding. It's amazing. But that's not here nor there. Go do the thing. Go try the sport. Go do the class. Yes, you might not be good at it first. There was no one who was good at it first. Everyone sucked at it first, and then they got better. Okay? Thanks for watching. Take care.